What's going on, everybody? Young Ben signing in with another podcast episode. It's been a while since I've come to you guys. I feel like I always say that, but I be having to experience life, I feel like, because shit be happening. And I had to put everything down to handle a situation. I can't have, too many distractions when I need to focus on something, especially when it's what I consider a life decision or something that is going to directly impact my life, my, physical health, anything like on that level. I had to put all things down, whatever it is, stop, handle that. And it's been a lot of those situations, unfortunately for me, over this past year. So just kind of, put your little toes in my shoes for a second and, just try to think on what a nigga been having to do. So I haven't been able to get with you guys and just speak and talk and be open, transparent, how I like to do it. And discuss what's going on in the world, what's going on with ourselves individually. It's always something going on. Just this past week, y'all know how they be hitting us with just back-to-back headlines that just, what I say, shock the chest of Black Twitter or just the Black community in general. And we had a few of those things last week, talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Young Dolph passed away. And I feel like a few other things came out pertaining to Black Lives Matter and just the Black community in general. And you know how we get just in general. We're very triggered by those type of events. And a lot of times I see now that, for me, it seems like they are almost pressing a button on it. Like they know when to get you out of. It's like they have to, it's like a scheduled plan almost. And things be heavy, bro. Like when you're really experiencing life and you've been through things, and I just feel like you experience life differently and you see things with very open eyes. You see things for what they truly are. And things like death, it's always heavy, just in general. It's heavy. And for speaking on Young Dolph, someone to be to that level of influence is going to reverberate in the physical world and the spiritual world, because that's a big loss. So with that being said, I always like to highlight the good things that we see from it, because at the end of the day, this young man, at 36 years old, was able to engage in a lot of life experiences, show people around him a different side of life. And most importantly, I always say he had and was able to raise a family, not to the degree or the length. I know for sure that he would have wanted to be longer to do that and raise his kids, for sure. But he was able to put that family here, and they are taken care of at this point in time. So I always got to give huge big congrats on that, because we don't do that enough, especially for Black men. We don't do that enough. It is, guys, such a huge milestone to do something like that. So I saw a tweet the other day, and I usually don't really get too triggered by Twitter either. I just kind of scroll, have my laughs, and move on, post what I'm going to post, move on. But a guy tweeted, he said, black men deserve to grow old too. Very plain and simple. And that just hit me across the head like a iron skillet, because I'm like, God, we at this point in time are barely seeing the age of 30. It's real. Like, granted, like I said, he was able to see 36, but man, in the grand scheme of things, that is so young. That is, you in the first quarter of your life still. You know what I mean? So, but I just want to say rest in power. I wasn't the hugest fan, but once again, at the end of the day, all black men on the same team in my eyes, and he was doing something inspirational out here. So shout out to you, and we gonna live with you in us. So just to continue on, I'm not going to even speak on the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. That is a conversation I want to have with a group of other people, just so I'm bouncing off my opinion the right way. I don't want to say anything too brash or insensitive, but I do have a different take on just how I feel about these cases now in general, on just, I guess what you would say, Black Lives Matter in general, and just how we should be looking at ourselves. Because I'm just going to say this, keep it very blunt and clear. I'm to the point now personally where I'm very secure in knowing who I am as a person, who I am as it relates to like my bloodline, where I come from, how I was created, how I ended up here on this earth plane, where I am headed in this lifetime also. So that is very securing in life in general, when you feel like you have developed a purpose and what you're living for. And I do understand everyone hasn't made it to that place, but I do think one of my biggest purposes is here, as I'm more fulfilled, as I am able to discover more things and do things. It allows others that's naturally that are in my web, in my world, to do the same thing. We gonna bounce off each other in that way. But with that being said, I wanted to make this point because once you get to a certain level in that mind state, in that mindset of your purpose, having your own focus, your perspective, certain things on the outside, like on that level, like big cases and current events that they use to trigger our emotions won't bother you in the same way. Because at the end of the day, you know, I am doing everything I can to combat that in your personal life. I'm doing everything that I can to make it better for not only myself, but the people around me and the people that I connect with. And that's all you can do. At the end of the day, we get so tied up in thinking we got to march in the streets and we got to come together and we got to hold hands at the dinner table and do all this rah-rah stuff, when it all just boils back down to you and how you move and think and are handling your day-to-day in this lifetime. So if we can be on one accord on that, we know that we fuck with each other. We ain't got to keep telling each other that or saying, oh, we need to come together. We already know that as a whole people. If you don't know that at this point in time, then you're under a rock. You just don't care. But for those that do care, you know that already. So what are you doing? What am I doing? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Doing, not just saying. What are we doing to make it possibly better? So I'm going to leave it at that. I still wound off 2 minutes of talking because that is something that I am passionate about at the end of the day. You know, it's time to move forward. It's time to step forward. That's what this whole year has been about. And as I segue, because this, I do think, ties into why we are experiencing all these things, I would say definitely over the last 2 years on what's really going on. 2020, I want to make, because I have been studying recently numerology. I've been getting more into numbers. You know, I've been betting more, like using different ways to understand like money lines, things like that. So just getting into numbers, understanding like what numbers really mean, their significance, and I see patterns now. And 2020, if you just add that year up, it equals 4. And 4s in numerology represent a foundation. It's a foundation year. So last year, 2020, was a foundation year. So on a collective level, many people were doing things or were experiencing things mentally where they felt like they were laying the foundation for something. Maybe they had to, leave a hometown and start a new job. Maybe they had to leave a relationship. Anything, literally anything, but you had to mentally lay a foundation, because now we're in a 5-year where a change, 2 + 2 + 1 = 5. The number 5 represents change in numerology. We are in a change year. That's why we have been seeing so many rapid changes and have been feeling them on such a crazy level. You know what I'm saying? It's like we've been swinging like back and forth. Like, y'all remember that carnival ride? That was like, we was riding a boat pretty much, and it would swing high to the left, then it would swing high to the right, like back and forth. That's what has felt like for me personally, that I have been in this 5-year. A lot of changes, a lot of transformation, and now we are in a times bringing it all back together. Now we are in a time where if you are not focused on who you are as an individual and where you are going, you're going to get lost in the fray. You're going to be left in an old world. Because why is all the things changing? The old world is falling, it's crumbling. It's almost like how you see in the movies, and they're running away and everything is just crashing behind them. The buildings is falling. I don't know why I have a The Rock movie in my head. I feel like he plays these type of movies all the time, but where you're running away and the buildings are falling and crashing, bombs, tornadoes. I'm thinking of The Day After Tomorrow also. I don't know if y'all seen that movie, The Day After Tomorrow. But shit just going crazy. But we are going into something new. We are going into something different. And once again, to round it all off, I just want to end with this. If we aren't willing to adapt, that's the biggest key. That's one of the biggest keys. If you aren't willing to adapt, access the situation, ACCESS. That's not even a word for that. Access. I want to say assess, like when you're surveying something, you assess the situation and determine what it is. If we aren't able to do that, then adapt. We're going to get left behind. And I'm saying on all levels, mentally, physically, spiritually, because we're going into a new world, guys. We're going into a new world. And I just want to leave it at that. I do have something else I do want to say, but I'm about to write it down so I can't segue into that. And another episode, kind of want to talk more about my experiences dealing with parents and allowing them to control your decisions at this time. You don't need to be doing that. But we'll get into that into another episode. I just wanted to drop that on you guys this Monday morning, give you some motivation to go through the week, something to think about. We're ending off. We're getting close to the end of the year. Thanksgiving this week. Get up with y'all families. Share some good laughs, some good drink. You feel me? And yeah, keep doing what you do. I love you guys. Keep pushing.